Blessings, family, and welcome to a new season, a fresh season of Awaken Woman 2020. I am your host, Yana, and happy whatever day it is that you're listening to this podcast. Can I tell y'all how excited I am about this new season? Can I tell y'all how excited I am to be recording again? It feels like when I first started a long time ago, when I jumped straight into it, and I was excited and I was just so motivated by just all the things that were going on in my life. And if this is your first time tuning in, don't worry, I'm going to get you up to speed. We're going to get you up to speed, okay? But I started this podcast it was before I was a wife and a mother, so that was over 5 years ago. I started this podcast, but I wasn't consistent. In the first season, I really was, and then I started allowing all this fear, doubt, and insecurities get in the way. And then I was here and there a little bit. I was intermittent recording, but I'm now in this new space in my life where I just feel so encouraged and motivated, and I just want to share. And let me tell you something, I did not get here without the power of prayer. Now, if y'all been listening to me for a while, y'all know I'm all about prayer. I'm all about spending time with the Most High God, Yahuwah. I'm so just encouraged in the space that I'm in because it took a while to get here. And if you listen to any of my old podcasts, and you know I've shared a lot. I'm always been vulnerable. I've always been vulnerable when I came on here and I shared my highs, my lows, and my insecurities. I've cried, maybe not cried on here, but I've gotten very emotional on my podcasts. And I'm just really excited to be back in this space where I once was. It's been a long journey, and I do plan to get you guys up to date, all my sisters up to date in the following episodes, and maybe even in the episode today. So I just wanted to say that I'm super excited. It's just for taking me back so many years ago when I first started recording. Excited about that. Now, let me just bring us into what we doing these days, okay? So the purpose of this podcast is that it's always supposed to feel like a phone conversation. When I have my good girlfriends that I'm on the phone with, or like maybe a girlfriend in particular, we always have these deep conversations. We'll be on the phone for long hours. And one thing that I love about that space that I have I'm a girl's girl. I love hanging out with girls. I love girliness. I love the femininity of being around women. I love us being able to share our experiences, the personal things, just stuff that you can't talk to men about, or things that you don't want to share in the company of men. That is why I've always been such a big advocate of women on this podcast, in spaces that are sacred for women, because we should be able to have that space. When you talk, it's just so beautiful when you can connect with a woman that's a stranger, because you have similar experiences. Even if you're a mother and she's not, or you're a wife and she's not, vice versa, or whatever your experiences may be, we can connect on some level because we're women. And I love that about us. I love that we can connect and share that vulnerability and that femininity, and also that masculinity at times. Now, let me pause for the cause. I am a wife and mother of 2, and I'm really working on my sound cancellation. But right now, I just want to apologize. My children are really active right now downstairs. They're really going at it. They're about to go to bed in a little bit. But just please be patient with me as I work out my audio situation, because the platform I was once using to do recording is not really available like it used to be. So I have to find out some noise cancellation. So if you have any ideas, put it in the chat, please, because sister girl needs to know. All right. But back to what I was saying is I just love the space of women. I love the sacredness of women, of us being women. And that's what I created this space for, is that my foundation is I am a believer of the Holy Bible from front to the end, through and through, up and down. I believe in all of that. I believe in everything that the word of Yahweh says. I believe that God's name is Yahweh. I believe his son's name is Yeshua HaMashiach. The world says Jesus Christ. That is my foundation. So a lot of times in my podcast, I will use scriptural references, because that's my life. That's my foundation. That is my lifeline. So that is what I will speak on, and where my beliefs and my values come from. Now, you don't have to have the same beliefs and values. You just have to understand that that's where I'm coming from. Okay. So, I'm just ready to kick off this season. I'm ready to explore with y'all, share as I live this life and this journey. And I really encourage you to share as well. So, on a phone call, unless you're talking to one of the people that go on and on and on and on and on and you never get a word in, this is supposed to be a phone conversation. It's just me right now getting the word and word and word in, and you not being able to talk. But you're going to do your talking in the comment section. So that's what the comment sections are for. So you can go to my YouTube, Awaken Woman 2020. That's on YouTube. You can follow this podcast on Spotify and Apple. I think I will be changing the name of my YouTube page because I do video uploads as well. And sometimes my video upload may not have anything to do with the content that I do on my podcast, or it might be, it might go hand in hand, but I'll keep you updated on that. I don't know exactly the, route with the YouTube just yet. I just know that you can listen to the podcast on YouTube at this moment. And yeah, so let's jump into this. So today's topic is called Sister to Sister, because I thought we should just start it off by having this little conversation. Now, I have been wanting to talk about this for a very, very, very long time, but I understand that it's a sensitive subject and it may be a little heated. So I wanted to be mindful, and I was just too mindful that I wasn't using my voice. But that is what our voices are for. We can agree to disagree. We don't have to always agree. But I have to touch on this subject because I think it's very important, especially now. As I said, these podcasts is like girlfriend and girlfriend. I just called you up, sister girl. So I need you to listen to me and then tell me what you think and disagree if you will. Because one of my good girlfriends, she don't have no problem disagreeing with me. She'd be like, no, girl, I don't know about that one. This is how I see it. And I'm cool with that because I don't have all the answers. So let's get into it. All right. Should we bring back shame? That's my question to you, sisters. Should we bring back shame? So y'all remember, so I'm in my 30s. Mama done been, I done took a few trips around the moon. Or is it the sun? When you have a birthday, is it trips around the sun? I don't know. I'm in my mid. I ain't talking about all that, universal type of stuff. I'm talking about like, I think y'all know what I'm saying. I done blew out a few candles. Okay. But should we bring back shame? Should we bring back shame to an extent? Okay. Do y'all remember growing up where it was like a little bit of truthfulness, right? Where it was things that you knew people were doing certain stuff, but it just wasn't as boastful. People weren't just out, just flaunting it. It was like, okay, it was a little truthfulness. Like you knew such so-and-so was doing stuff they had no business, but she was low key about it. You only found out because she told somebody and that person told other people, or you just happened to find out. But it was a little bit of shame. And what I mean by shame, I'm not talking about shame and somebody throwing rocks at him. I'm saying where it was some privacy. Why I'm talking about this is because, especially in particular, now this podcast is for all women, but as a Black woman, I can only speak, or as an African American woman, as an Israelite woman, I can only speak from my culture, my background. So this can apply to all women, but of course, I'll connect more with Black women. Please forgive me if that's an insult, calling Black women, African American women. Ooh, I know there's a little bit of some going on right now about that. Or at least what I've been studying of people saying like, well, maybe we should be called Negroes again, or, that's another subject. We'll touch on that too on one of these episodes. But I just want, I'll be able to relate more to Black women because of my experiences and some of our shared experiences. But in particular with the Black community, especially now on the mainstream, we got to first just be honest and we know that Black people are the influencers of the world. We create a culture. People bite onto that culture. Like it may be frowned upon for a sister to talk hood and slang and, as the world calls, like ghetto, but then a non-Black person could benefit from that, can actually monetize those things. We've seen that with some of these Catch Me Outside girls and all that, but that's not even the subject at hand. The issue is that as culture, as the ones who are influencers of the world, we're starting to see that the influence of Black women are just over-sexualized. It's like the hoochies of the world, the whores of the world, How many men can you sleep with? It's like over sexualized. And I'm going to give you some examples. I don't really listen to a lot of secular music. I'm really, really cutting back on that because as I'll go on another episode and talk about it, but I'll scratch the surface. Is I do believe that there are certain type of energies and frequencies and spirits that are attached to music. If y'all recall a couple of years back, I think it was, Cardi B, after she became a wife and a mother, she was saying how there was a song that was written for her. And as she wrote this song, as she was rapping this song, she came on Instagram or internet live. She got on live and was saying how this song is awakening demons and it's causing her to behave in ways or awakening things that she thought she put to rest. She was saying, I just want to be a wife and a mother. And this song has opened up stuff in me that I don't want to be like that no more. And listen, back in the day, I loved me some Trina, the baddest B, as she called herself. And when I would listen to Trina, y'all, like my husband, who was my friend at that time, my husband and my other coworker, I used to have road rage when I was 18. I mean, I don't even know if it was really road rage, but I used to drive fast in the car and just be like, vroom, vroom. I just, praise the Most High that I didn't cause me no harm and I didn't cause nobody else no harm. But I had road rage because listening to that, I'm the baddest B. And like all the other crazy stuff she was saying, I was thinking like, well, the world belongs to me. I'm just swooping and whooping through the streets and driving all type of crazy. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Like when people about to go do a robbery, they go listen to that thug stuff. They trying to get heated. And that ain't right. So what I'm saying, I don't really listen to that type of music no more. But when I did, it brings out certain type of just spirits. Like there is spirits attached to this stuff. But so I don't really listen to that music anymore. I try to listen to my little old school stuff. Yeah, I love me some old school. But if you look back when Chloe Bailey and her sister came out, they were like these two little angels, these two sweet girls. Yes, Chloe was a little bit more, had more personality. But now if you look at her, she's like this icon of sex. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. I'm just trying to, I got to bring relevant examples. My husband always said, you got to give an example, babe. You got to give examples of what you're talking about. This is in general. He always telling me this. But you see how she's now changed into a sex icon, a sex symbol. Like now I don't listen to her stuff. I didn't really listen to it then. I just admired that these two sisters, I thought they were very beautiful. They had this very precious spirit about them. But now it's like, what the heck? If I'm not mistaken, I think she was even in a movie scene having sex. So it's like, what is it about Black women that we become over sexualized and we become the example of just ratchet culture? And as a Black woman, I love us. I think we are so beautiful. I think we're amazing, but we got to call it out. And that's what this conversation, sister to sister is about. Should we bring back shame? Should we bring back a little bit more modesty? If you know what they used to say, a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets, like, if you a married woman, like that's something that you can enjoy in the privacy of your home. But why does it have to be for everybody to see? And I'm going to say it. Now I could be wrong, but this, in my observation, I've noticed that a lot of the girls that's halfway naked on the internet are always single. The girls who always shaking it and dropping it and popping it and on the handstand, those are the women that are always single or always from man to man to man. So is that really beneficial for us? It's not. I mean, we can look at the statistics of Black women and a parallel to STDs and how we're at a different rate than any other culture, any other race or ethnicity group, whatever we want to, all this stuff is whatever. But if you look at the CDC statistics when it comes to us, this is not a healthy lifestyle. And what I want to pose the question is that, are you okay with what? Because I do remember, I'm going to get back to my question. I do remember one time I heard somebody say, well, actually, it was a pastor who said this, and I'm not even going to, it's shame on him for saying it. But when they were talking about abortions, and I'm gonna touch on that a little bit in this episode as well. When they were when all this Roe v. Wade stuff was going on, a pastor said, "Well, y'all done already got y'all abortions. Now y'all trying to ban it so the younger girls can't get theirs. You now want to be all holy when you was getting abortions." And let me say this, I've never had an abortion or anything like that, but that's neither here nor there in the conversation. If you have had an abortion, I don't want you to feel condemned. You do need to repent before the Lord because that wasn't right. Okay, I gotta say that in love. That ain't right. However, sometimes people act as if you did something before and you were ignorant of what was right and wrong at that time, that you can't have a change of mindset. Case in point, let's say that you were sleeping with somebody's husband, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you were sleeping with somebody's husband. But now today, 10 years later, you're like, that was foul. That was messed up. I shouldn't have done that. You can still acknowledge that you did something and you've grown from that experience. And, I wouldn't do that no more. I wouldn't recommend nobody doing that. That was wrong. That was evil. As a wife, I wouldn't want nobody doing that to me. Or as a woman who wants to be married, I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. We act as if people act as if, not we, but maybe it is you. I've been in situations where it was hard for me to call out a thing because I once lived in that thing. But when you know better, you do better. When I was 20, I don't expect me to behave the same way that I did at 18, 19, 21, just being able to drink as I would, at 31. It's a phrase that I know I've said on this podcast many a times that Layla Ali said her dad says that a man who behaves at 20 the same way he did behave the same way at 50 as he did at 20 wasted 30 years of his life. Now, her numbers may have been a little different, but her point was saying you should not be behaving at 50 the same way you was at 20. So the mistakes and things that we made at 20 years old, we can look back and say, even if it was last month, even if it was yesterday, I wouldn't do that again. That was wrong. That was evil. I wouldn't do that again. But because some of us are still carrying around the guilt and shame and condemnation of I did something I'm not proud of, that we can't call it out and say, yeah, that was wrong. You can call it out. It is okay to have lived in a sin and lived in something you're not proud of. And then today say, but that ain't who I don't live like that no more. I don't live like that no more. So yeah, of course, there's a certain type of spirit that you walk in with that. It's a certain type of, you don't, them girls over there. No. Because you were once one of them. You have compassion because you understand why you did it. But you also have enough wisdom to say, but I wouldn't do that again. So in case in point, when it comes to an abortion, it's like, I did this because of X, Y, and Z, but now I know better. I wouldn't do that again. But I understand why a young woman may feel like she's pressured to do it. I understand why a young woman may feel like, that's something I should, to go do it, consider doing it because you were once there. So our experiences is not for us to turn around and be judgmental to somebody else, but to understand where they're coming from and offer some advice. I don't know who I picked this up from some years ago, but they said, or maybe it just dropped in my spirit. When I used to teach my kids, oh my gosh, do I miss teaching the youth. I really miss that. That is my call. And I have to get back to that because working with adults, Lord, call somebody else. But in the meantime, in between time, while I'm there, I'm going to be faithful to the calling, but I need to get back to the kids, to the youth. But I remember I used to tell them that I'm sharing my mistakes with you so you don't have to walk in it. If you see the person walking ahead of you stumbled and fell in a ditch, are you not going to start making some moves so you don't fall in that ditch? Are you not going to think differently so you don't go into that same path? And when I look at the state of the culture right now, as it pertains to Black women and Black men, but this is the podcast for Black women. Maybe I do a sister to brother conversation. That may be a good idea, but I think I need a brother on the line. Maybe I'll get my husband. but I want to keep my husband for do a sister to a husband to wife conversation. But I think I need to do, y'all let me know in the chat. Are you interested in a sister to brother conversation? And if so, what are some questions you want to add for the brother to be asked? Or what are some conversations that we should have? Because I think that may be a good topic to have a sister to brother conversation. So we can discuss, where did we go wrong? Why is there so much disrespect? Why are you calling her a hoe, a BIT, and every other word under the sun? Why? What changed for us in our culture where there was once the Jodeci? Well, I don't know about Jodeci, but you remember the love songs? I remember I used to love that song by Joe back in the day called I Wanna Know. And I was like, this song, like these men was pouring out they love and they heart. Now, maybe the next song they was talking some crazy stuff. I'm not sure. I didn't listen to all the albums. I just listened to a song here or there. And I remember thinking, like, I grew up in the 90s. I'm a 90s baby. So when I grew up, it was love. Now it's so disrespectful. So I'm interested in where did we go wrong? I'm gonna have to keep this conversation. I have to do a part 2 to sister, because I value your time, and on a phone call, we got things to do. So I ain't trying to hold nobody up on no call. I thank you for listening. I'm gonna try to go ahead and wrap this up really quick, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. This is a community. I am building a community. I want to thank everybody that subscribed to my YouTube channel in the past for whatever it was I was doing back then, but that's not what this is anymore. So I understand if you have to go. I understand we have to change the channel sometimes. Sometimes we even have to hang up the phone. Girl, bye. I'll talk to you next year. I'll circle back around the block in a little bit to see what you're still talking about. I'll check up on you here and there. So I understand that we outgrow relationships. So it's no bad blood, and I wish you well. So I love y'all, sisters. Forgive me if I didn't touch on every single point, but I do want to start being mindful of the time. And, this is a little route to work. Or on your way coming home from work. But I will have a new episode for you next Monday. I love y'all. I'm so, life is fluid, and my experiences have really shaped and molded me these last few years. And I come with a different understanding of my purpose and what the Most High is doing in my life. And I just want to share that light. I want to be the salt and light. And I want to build a community of women who are like-minded, because I know I'm not the only woman that have conservative values. I'm not talking about conservative in the political sense, but conservative values, modesty, and femininity, and also understanding our sexuality, but understanding it in what's the way I want to say this? Understanding our sexuality in control or in power. Understanding it with boundaries, is that there's nothing wrong with being a sexual woman in the context of marriage, in the context of with your husband. But anything outside of that, in my opinion, is illegal. In my opinion, now that doesn't mean I'm judging you, because I was once one of, okay? See how I talk about how you can be once living in something, but yet you don't live in it anymore, but you have a sense of understanding. I understand. So I'm not going to sit up here and act holier than thou and act like, I wasn't out here doing things with my husband before we were married. Okay. But I understand now, and I would have never, if I could go back, I would have never opened myself up to doing things that was outside of God's will. I'm grateful of the mercy and grace of God that my husband and I made it official, and we're married, and we've been going strong. Praise the Most High. Hallelujah. I'm excited and thankful for my man. My man, I love him. He loves me. I'm grateful, but having sexual, like, I don't think it's a necessary. I don't. Sister, you can disagree with me. I'm okay with that. We can disagree, and could we find out or research and understand the art of disagreement? Disagreement don't mean I got to cuss you out and say I'm done and I'm burning the bridge. The bridge is going to be set on fire. A disagreement is I don't see it the way you see it. Me seeing it the way I'm seeing it is speaking from where I am today. But mind you, 10 years ago, I wasn't speaking or seeing it in that way. But as I grow, I see why God has boundaries on what he wants us to do. And these boundaries are for our good. But if you living in a lifestyle outside of the word of God, I'm not condemning you. I don't have no heaven or hell to put you in. These are my values. I don't belittle you. I don't see you any different from me. We're just walking on two different value systems. And that's okay. But this is a space that my intention going forward is that I want to build a community. And when I first was on YouTube, I remember I started off with locks, and I started a lock channel, and then I was like, man, it's so much more to me than this. And I had like 6 subscribers. I remember when I had my first subscriber, and I remember when I had my second and my 6th and the 16th, and how it went on and on and on. And then it blew up to, I think I had like close to 800 subscribers. And then my tune started changing. I wasn't walking in the same mindset, and people had to go. And I was at first afraid, like I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted because if I start talking more about holy, righteous living, I'm going to lose people. Because that road is the road of worldliness is broad, and many people are on it. But if I give you scripture, the word says that wide is the road, and many that are on it that are leading into destruction. But narrow, hard to find is the path that's leading into life. So I understand that as my tune has drastically changed, I know that people are going to have to go. People in my own life has had to go. I've had to say bye and shed many a tears, had to go through plenty of clinics boxes because people I wanted near me is not near me no more. They had to go, or I had to go. And we got to also understand at times, I'm drifting off, but I'm going to go where the Spirit is leading me, is that we hold on to relationships that the Lord is trying to tear apart. If that's telling you, or let me say this, that the Lord is saying that's not good for you no more. But because we want to hold on to these people, we begin to compromise. We begin to compromise our values, our integrity, our beliefs, our code of conduct. And then it end up falling out when it didn't have to be that way because you were already being led to go a different way. And I understand that. I'm learning the gift of goodbye. And goodbye doesn't mean it's like, well, whatever. No, it's goodbye. And I may have some tears. I'm a very sensitive, emotional woman. And I embrace and stand in that. That makes me who I am because I'm in touch with my emotions and I'm not afraid to share my vulnerabilities with people. But folks have had to go. Whether I had to leave or they had to leave, people have to go. And I say all that to say that I just want to build a community. And I just pray and ask the Most High that He brings women who have the same values and that can teach me. I'm doing the talking right now, but as I read the comments and as I know the comments will begin to flow in, whether this episode or another, I do know that I will gain wisdom from women that are older than me. See, I love I love having older friends. I love being in the company of elders. Okay. And elders could be someone who's 40. You older than me. That's an elder. In my husband's culture, the sibling that's older than you, you don't disrespect that sibling at all. That's your elder sibling. What they say is what it is. That's like if mama not home and they say this, that's the authority. So I love being able to be corrected. Hey, sister, let me say it like this to you. Let me direct you in this. I'm all open for it. I'm going to check the spirit behind the spirit, though. You ain't about to just be telling me any old thing. And now that's, I done been around the block a few times. I done, got to know who you fooling with and who, that's another subject. We're going to talk about a spirit of discernment now. But I really want to build a community of women who are like-minded, that we understand, we have a foundation of beliefs that we can agree on. That don't mean you a believer of God. I pray so, because there is an end to all this world. But we have an understanding that there's a righteous and an unrighteous way of being. There's a right and wrong way. So question I ask you, tell me what you think about the sister to brother conversation. And what are some thoughts that you have? And as I start working on that in this season, we can touch bases on that. But let me know what you think about bringing back shame. Should we bring back modesty? Do you think it doesn't matter? Because let me tell you something. These young girls that's handstanding and doing this Glorilla and what's that other girl name? I only see them in like passing of through like, people at my job be mentioning, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? I have some young folks on my job. But when I worked with my youth, and even when I work with my little mentee, these are conversations that we're having. What's that girl? Red, somebody Red. Is it my husband called her Big Red? I don't think y'all know what I'm talking about, but I think whatever. She came out with some lipstick gloss line, and it was all names of STDs. And it was just so foul. Like, what in the world is happening? Where, this older gentleman said this all the time, that if you don't know that you're royalty, you will conduct yourself as a pauper. You conduct yourself as someone who's just lowly and poor, and you don't have an identity. And that's the thing with us as Black women and Black people, is that we're searching for an identity. And as we get deeper into this podcast, we're going to dive into these things. But I know I don't want to get super spiritual, but I have to add these things in here because it's life. It's understanding. But I also know that who I was sent to. I may not have been sent to, I know that I've had friends that were not believers, and since being friends and us talking, I praise the Most High that one of my friends have come to know the Most High, and I'm grateful for that, because it's your walk. It's not necessarily your talk. It's your walk. It's your actions. It's you loving on people and understand that you're not the judge nor the jury, but you can call people out. You can't call them out in love. No, not that. That ain't right. Do a little correction. But it's your walk, not your talk. People don't want to hear you hitting them across the head in the Bible. They want to see you walk it out. They want to see what that love looks like, what that compassion looks like. And it's challenging because sometimes I'll be like, Lord, I'm done with all these folks. These people is crazy. These people, I don't got bit too many times, tried to get stabbed in the back, but I tell y'all, the spirit of Yah is very discerning. He will discern and show you who you need to be around. But I'm going longer than I'm supposed to. Okay, sisters, I'll talk to y'all next episode. Whatever, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. I love y'all. Thank you. Salt and light. To the next time. Bye.